So how has the energy and the feeling behind this circularity movement changed? Are we getting into deeper and more systemic thinking, or are we just cycling through another wave of technocratic rebranding of old sustainability? Is it just a new name for something that people haven't really got deeply into the core of what you've talked about in your book?
Well, one of the problems is that, as with sustainability, there are now more than 200 definitions of a circular economy. And the best way to kill any idea or vision is start your own definition, because that creates a complete confusion. But basically, if you look at natural, cultural, and human assets, then the thing hasn't changed, and it's still about caring. How do we maintain quality and quantity of these assets? What has changed is in the manufactured assets, because we had COVID. COVID showed us that for most things we have enough stuff. It's like aircraft and all this. Actually, the only thing that was lacking was the face masks and the breathing apparatus. But the car production or aircraft production almost stopped. So we know that at that time that we can live with much less production. But of course, industry cannot live with much less production. So the big shift is that we have now moved from academia to legislation and now to economic actors. And more the economic actors now realize they can make more money with much less resource consumption and energy, water consumption, land use, if they move away from manufacturing or mining and they go into optimizing the use or the post-use phase of the life of object.
What would you say are recent examples that have stood out for you of companies or product areas that have made that sort of transition?
Well, that there are some in building industry and the building material industry. There are some in equipment industries. Just to quote you, one company named Burkhardt Compression, which is a world-leading manufacturer of compression. And a few years ago, they've started to move into operation and maintenance of compressor fleets. Because, and not only their own compressors, but also third-party compressors. And the latest example I've found is they have remanufactured a 60-year-old compressor that was produced by a company that no longer exists and brought it back to up-to-date performance. Now, this is something that in the old industry, you would have scrapped this compressor and replaced it by a new one. So that thing is changing, that you realize you can make as much or even more money by using your knowledge, your experience, and applying it to existing stocks of equipment to get them work. And the reason is very simple, that you have a huge investment in capital and resources and water and money in this old equipment. Now, by remanufacturing it, you actually maintain most of these resources. That's why you are much more profitable, because you don't start from the mine to produce the whole supply chain to end up with a product. You start with the product.
Yeah, one of the original examples, of course, was Xerox, right? And the duplicating machines that you didn't just keep selling and selling and selling more, but you leased the equipment, and the ownership question, right, comes into play. Who
Yeah,
owns
were,
the asset?
yeah, you were paid. Xerox was paid per copy, not for selling the machine.
Right.